Hi Year 10, this is the final video in our timber industry set. What we're going to be looking at specifically today is all the sorts of things that you would need to know if you were thinking about maybe wanting to work in the timber industry. Now, by the end of this video lesson and by the end of the activity, I'm hoping that you know a little bit about the career pathways that exist in the timber furniture industry and what courses you could study after school to prepare you to work in the timber furniture industry. Now, I'll make the distinction right now that the timber furniture industry is different to the construction industry, but they are similar. In the timber furniture industry, obviously, your focus is around making furniture and making cabinets and timber products that can be installed in houses or used in houses. In construction, however, this is where you're really looking at the building processes. But there are some really similar things. Obviously, we use the same sorts of tools, the same sorts of materials, the same sorts of skills. So you will find some crossover there. I hope you understand the different skills that are needed to work in the timber furniture industry. And we're going to get you to research one career specifically in furniture making and complete a little research task about that so you can understand the requirements of that particular course. So let's get started. We begin here with the careers bullseye. You might have seen these posters up around the school at different points. I know Mrs. Weeks's careers office is full of these sorts of posters. And this is where you can start to sort of understand all of the different career options that exist for you if you're interested in working in the industrial arts or working as a timber worker. Right now, we sit at around about the level 1 or just below level 1. Level 1 is a Year 10 student who has done a small amount of study in the timber products and furniture industry, but they don't necessarily have any formal skills or formal training. They've got a really basic understanding, but they don't have those extensive skills. The next level up, level 2, is where we start to look at those really specific careers, and really specifically, we're looking at things like if you are a cabinet maker or if you are a construction worker, someone that has a formal trade qualification. Moving outwards into the level 3s and level 4s is where you start getting more and more advanced training, such as your diplomas and advanced diplomas, and in level 4, your university degrees. Now, if you wanted to work in the timber furniture industry, you could be at any level. You don't have to be at level 2, you don't have to be at level 4. You could be at any particular level that's available there. So we'll get started, and I'm just going to show you that when I share these slides with you, you'll be able to click on this link so you can see it a little better. But it will open up a page, and I'm signed in at the moment, so it's able to work for me. But I'm going to go in and go to Cabinet Maker. And in the Cabinet Maker section, you can see a whole heap of information around the sorts of things that a cabinet maker does. Now, a cabinet maker is someone who either fabricates, that means they build, or they repair wooden furniture. And they might also fit and assemble other wooden parts that are needed to make furniture. So you might actually be a cabinet maker. You might be working as an antique furniture restorer. You might be creating chairs or couches. And as grim as it sounds, you might also be making coffins. So it's people that specifically work with timber products, timber materials to make those timber products. Maybe it's furniture, maybe it's other timber products. Some of the different skills that you are going to have if you are a cabinet maker include your ability to read and understand drawings. And that's why when we think about all of the work that we do in our timber subject and even in our TAS subjects in Year 7 and Year 8, we spend so much time thinking about drawings, doing our SketchUp drawings, doing our hand sketches, reading drawings, so that we can then go and build the products in the workshop. And that's because if you plan to actually work in this industry, construction or furniture making, your ability to read and understand drawings is pivotal. If you can't read those drawings correctly, then you're not going to be able to build the product correctly. And the reality is, when you have a job as a furniture maker, there's not a teacher there that you can just go and ask what measurement does this piece need to be. You actually need to develop that skill of reading it yourself and trusting that you've read it correctly. Now, you'll be working with sorts of materials like timber veneered products, particle boards and synthetic woods. What we mean by that is those engineered wood products that we spoke about in our previous lecture. MDF, chipboard, particle board, HDF, hardboard, and all of those sorts of plywood products. Okay, so you could be working with solid timbers or engineered timbers. Some of the things you might be doing might be measuring them, cutting them or shaping them, or you might be doing all three. You could be making parts for boats, parts for caravans, or parts for kitchens even. And you might even be just responsible for assembling parts of the furniture. Because when you work as a cabinet maker, you could be a specialized cabinet maker where you look at one specific process, or you could be multi-skilled where you look at a range of different processes. And we'll cover that a little bit more in a moment. Now, I'm in the process of trying to get access to this video for you. Unfortunately, I can't share it with you just yet, but I've asked the owner to share it with me. But there is a video here, and if I can get it, I'll put it up on Google Classroom, that takes you through a day in the life of a cabinet maker. The reality is, if this is a career pathway you're interested in, you really want to watch a video like this. It shows you that your normal day starts at around about 6:30 in the morning. You're not sleeping in. You're going in and you're working in a workshop like our timber workshops for pretty much the whole day. You start your day by going and see the boss. The boss will give you the work that you need to do for the day, and then you go and work independently. Some of the other things that you'll be required to do is to use the equipment, maintain the equipment, and keep your workshop clean and tidy. And obviously, the whole time you're complying with all of those safety procedures that we teach you. So I'm trying to get a copy of that video for you to be able to watch as well. Going back now to our slides here, we then need to start thinking about, well, what sort of training do we need to do if we want to work in this furniture industry? And there are a couple of different ways. I'll start at the very top, university degrees. You could choose to finish year 12, get an ATAR, go across to university, and you might study a course to help you get into the timber products and furniture industry. What I'll explain to you here is that while you can do that, most people that go to university work in these white-collar jobs. Now, white-collar jobs are the jobs where people are professionals. They almost wear a suit and a tie each day. Now, someone who makes furniture typically isn't wearing a suit and tie each day, so it's not a white-collar job. So, yes, you could do a university degree, but it's probably more than you need to if your goal is to just be working in a workshop, using tools and making furniture every day of your life. So that's one thing to consider. It is a possibility, but if you're doing university degrees for that, you might end up in a management role, you might end up in an engineering role, or in a really high-level role, but you very, very likely won't be working on the tools if you had a university degree in the timber products and furniture industry. Going down is the TAFE courses. Now, TAFE courses are the most likely way that you're going to complete training if you wanted to work in the furniture making industry. Now, you should know that when you're at school in year 11 and year 12, you get to pick some more subjects as electives that you want to do, and we have all of these, what we call VET courses. Our VET courses are essentially a TAFE course where we give you qualifications at school, and these qualifications are nationally recognized to help you in your future career prospects. One of the courses that we offer here is the construction course, and that helps you to become a construction worker. But there is a lot of crossover between the construction course and the furniture making course. So if you were interested in furniture making, or you're not sure yet, really, you should be considering VET construction in year 12. Now, these TAFE courses, you basically go to TAFE a couple of days a week to do a little bit of study. It might only be at night for a few hours. And then the rest of the time you go and you work in a factory, you work with people in the industry making furniture while you study. So a typical day for you might be a little bit more like this. You might wake up on a Monday morning, you might go to work at 6:30 in the morning and you work all the way till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then you go home for the day, quickly prepare your extra study resources, you get back in the car and you drive over to your TAFE, you do your study for 2 or 3 hours on Monday night, and then you go back home again. Okay, so it's very common that the TAFE courses happen at night so that you can work throughout the day. And also, rather than going 5 days a week, you might only go 1 or 2 days a week, particularly in the furniture making and the construction courses. In addition to studying at TAFE, you could also do it as an apprenticeship where you actually become a tradesperson along the way. Now, you can become a tradesperson as a chippy, a carpenter, for example, or as a brickie. There's a whole heap of different roles, but if you're thinking about doing an apprenticeship, the benefit of that is at the end, you can run your own little business and do a few little odd jobs here and there, and you're a qualified person that is able to do work. okay? The next option there is that you don't do any additional training after school and you just go and start a business because you've got some really good skills, but you don't have any formal training. Now, while you can start your own business like that, there's nothing stopping you from doing it. All of the information that we have in Australia says that most businesses that do this end up closing down because they fail after about 3 years. Because you work really hard, you put all your money and all your time and all your effort in, but without that formal training and formal qualification, it ends up not being a sustainable business, and so you end up having to go and do training anyway. So our recommendation would be to you that if you wanted to work in this industry, you should definitely consider these apprenticeships or TAFE courses. So let's then talk about TAFE. What is TAFE? Well, TAFE is basically another school. It's a school for adults where you go and you learn from professionals. Now, the difference between a teacher at school and a teacher at TAFE is in order to work at TAFE in our industries, in furniture making or in construction, your TAFE teacher has to be a qualified tradesperson as well. So at school, your timber teacher, like me for example, I am a qualified timber teacher, but I don't work as a furniture maker. When you're at TAFE, they are both a teacher and they also do the job that they are training you for. So when I did my construction course at TAFE, for example, my teacher at TAFE was my teacher for TAFE, but he also ran his own construction business. So that's what I mean. Your teacher works in the industry, and that's how you're able to get that really up-to-date information that is specifically useful for you if you wanted to work in that career. You get access to all the latest equipment that's available in the industry. So you get to use all the fancy new tools that are available, and your TAFE teacher shows you how to use all of these safely and efficiently, and how you can buy them to build up your own workshop if you wanted to start your own business. There are a whole heap of different courses that you can do. There are thousands of courses, and I've just picked two main ones here that really relate to us. The Certificate 3 in Furniture Making and the Certificate 3 in Cabinet Making, specifically focusing on furniture. Now, the Furniture Making course, you're going to do some research on that as part of this lesson, so I'll leave that one aside. But if we open up the Cabinet Making course, we'll see some information from the TAFE website about this course and all of the information that's involved. So you're going to see on the TAFE page, you see the title of the course just here, and the title of the course is Certificate 3 in Cabinet Making. You'll see an overview of the course and an option for you to press read more, and it shows you all the things you need to know. Now, this overview section tells you about the course. If you are going to be doing this course, you could choose to start your own business, or you could work in someone else's business. The skills that you're going to learn is the ability to communicate with people, read plans, pick which timbers and materials you want to use hand tools, use static machines and CNC machines, use manual and computer-aided drawings, prepare surfaces for furniture, install furniture and cabinetry. Okay, so there's the skills there. There's also some other personal qualities that you will gain here. Okay, your ability to focus on details, your ability to communicate with clients, and it tells you what sort of career might you have afterwards. You might be a furniture maker or you might be a cabinet maker. It also then tells you what you can do if you wanted to take your trade to the next level. So for example, you can't just go and install kitchens and bathrooms. You need to do additional training. So there is an extra little course here that you could do on top of this to help you be able to work in kitchens and bathrooms. Going down, it also tells you over here where you can study this course. So for example, this one here can be studied at Lidcombe, and I can click on the course fees and information page to learn more specific details about this course at Lidcombe. And that's also one of the pages we're going to ask you to go to when you're doing your research task for the furniture making course. We're going to go through, you're going to see how many hours per week you need to study. So to do this course, you do 8 hours a week. So that might be 2 nights a week for 3 years. Now, while that's a lot of study, you've got to remember that all the other hours in the week, you're still going to work and doing cabinet making. Okay? And down here, there's a whole heap of extra information. It tells you how often you need to go to school. So you'll see this one here is, at the moment for this one, you either go on Monday or on Wednesday, and you go for a whole day. But the other days of the week, you're going to work. It tells you what sort of entry requirements you have. So do you need to have already studied a different course? And it says for this one, there are no entry requirements, okay? But you can do it as an apprenticeship or as a non-apprenticeship. You don't have to do it as an apprenticeship, but you can if you want to. And it tells you all of those different bits of information that you need to do. For this particular one, they recommend that you've completed Year 10, so you could actually go and study this course next year if you weren't going to be continuing to Year 11 and Year 12. You should be able to do your math quite well, and you obviously need to have good English. Okay? Math is very important for your ability to read plans and understand measurements and those sorts of calculations. And you must really like working in the workshops at school doing cabinet making style things. So there's lots of information there on these pages. You're going to be doing research using this page and using this page that we've linked in here for you. So you're going to be doing the furniture making course to complete your research. Now, when we think about your career, once you start working in the timber products industry, you might start as a cabinet maker for the first couple of years, but the reality is after a little bit of time, you might pick up an additional job. You might be responsible for training new staff. You might start running the business or managing parts of the business. You might focus specifically on manufacturing. You might also be responsible for safety in your workshop. So there's a whole heap of different jobs that you might have. Now, I spoke before about your job. You might specialize where you focus on one really important part. For example, you might be a specialist at cutting and joining timber together. Or you might be a specialist at applying finishes to timber, like applying a lacquer, spraying the products at the end of the process. These are called specializations when you're really good at one thing. The opposite to that is a generalization where you're good at lots of different things. Okay? That's the end. That's the end of careers in the timber products and furniture industry. I hope it's been really helpful for you. And what I want you to remember is that you now have the research task to do, and you need to go back to all of those other little bits of work that we've done on Google Classroom and make sure you have submitted them correctly so that your teacher can go through and make sure you've completed this unit of work. Thanks very much for participating. I hope it's been great for you.